wondered why your Pfaff Creative Icon 2 is sewing in reverse and it's nothing that you thought you had touched? Well, this is where we're going to teach you how to control your reverse stitching and when to touch the button, and then also a brand new stitch on screen that I think you'll be interested in. So let's just pretend that you are sewing forward and you want to lock this stitch. Now there's lots of locking options here in the tie off menu where you could preset it to tie off at the beginning, the end, or before the thread cuts. But we're talking today with the button that's right at your fingertips. So you've probably had on other machines a reverse button. You hold it in, the machine sews backwards, it locks the stitches in, and when you let go, it actually will then return forward, which is a great way to secure your ends. And then you can just cut your thread and bring it out, and the seam is no longer going to come undone. Now, I know you quilters, or as you are machine piecing, traditionally don't use a reverse button. So this can sometimes catch people a little bit by surprise because it's been so long since they've ever used one or needed one. But traditionally you start with a forward, back, forward, and then a back, forward at the end. So here's how this button's going to work. So first off, if you're sewing and you touch that button, hold it in, it goes backwards until you untouch it. When you untouch it or let loose, it comes forward again. But notice the machine has always been in motion. So for example, the difference is if I touch this when I'm not sewing, so the machine is at rest, did you see the light turn on right here? That means that as I sew and I'm not holding any button, it's going to sew away from me as long as I need. Now, to turn it off, stop, touch the button, unlight the light, and now it will travel forward. So what happens is when people usually give me a reach out to help, it's because they've actually touched that while they are not sewing and then not realize what to do to undo it. So you could always turn the machine off, but all you have to do, touch it again, and you'll sew forward. Now I mentioned that there's a stitch over here, and for some reason this seems like a new stitch for me. Look at stitch 4. It shows a line with the arrow pointing away from where it's normally sewing. And at any given time, by the way, the starting point of your stitch is noted, and we are seeing that it is noted to start and stitch up. So at this point, we will find ourselves in a permanent reverse situation without having to actually even touch the button. So that must have been a request, so they did add it. And then of course you could then return back to a normal stitch and then do the direction you want to choose. But I would practice this just so you can know like how to hold it, what to do when you let go, and how it looks on your fabric. So the next time you need to lock a finished seam, you'll know exactly whether to push this one, the securing stitch, or reach over here to the tie-off functions. There's a lot more to learn on the Pfaff Creative Icon 2. Click on that link right below this video to take you to the complete playlist where you can go from feature to feature throughout this entire machine with me.